Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. Monday Morning Live, Sunday Night Live. Live right now. Here we are. Okay. I don't know why this camera's going back and forth, and I'm not going to even wonder anymore because I'll never figure it out. Anyway, so you'll have to excuse it if I move. This winds up moving. I don't understand it. But anyway, let's get on with it. Today. Okay, wait a minute. Let's make sure we got this going right. So, as soon as I know we've got some people here, we'll get started. All right. Hey, Pumps. All right. How do you kill worms new here? Looking forward to learning. Tucson. Yay. All right. Maybe today we can. So remember, the first hour is going to be answering questions that have been submitted, and then the second hour is going to be new questions that you guys have. Anyway, I don't know which. All right, we're all ready to go, you guys. Here we are. All right, so we got people from the UK and US, Florida, and Sarasota. All right, yeah. So you can get the science and fine art of fasting. By the way, I just finished a book. Yeah, I just finished the book. It's basically a manual for if you're going to fast up to 41 days, and in there I explain what's going on with you metabolically, what's going on with you physiologically, and what to look for, how to monitor it. It's actually a pretty it'll be a pretty useful manual, and I'm just now looking for a way to publish it. So if anybody's good at self-publishing, let me know, because I'd love to get some help so I can get it out as quickly as possible. I think it'll be very important to help lead people through fasting, and it's really important for us to know that what's happening is normal. And one thing to keep in mind when you do fast, it should never be a horrible experience, because if it is, then something's not right, and it needs to be looked at. So what I go over in this manual is also certain drugs, all the drugs that have to be weaned versus the ones that can just be stopped abruptly. And and you should work, if it's going to be a prolonged one, and then a prolonged one, I mean more than 14 days. Then you should have someone guide you, because it's should have someone guide you, because it's basically the biggest problem, or the only real challenge that happens with fasting, is drinking enough water. Most because water gets pretty boring after about 14 days, and people just tend not to drink as much, and they can get dehydrated, and being dehydrated can really throw the whole process off. You can get very sick if you're dehydrated. But I give you a way of testing for that. So there's a way you can test on yourself every day, and you can know if you do get to the point where you are dehydrated to the where it's you're having symptoms, and you may not know that's what the symptoms are coming from. But if you to get to that point, then the thing to do would be to um, have access to have already arranged for either a nurse or a doctor, someone to come and just give you an IV of normal saline, just to keep you hydrated, because that's really the only problem. Unless you have an underlying chronic condition, which we discussed at the beginning of the book about how to, how to know, if you're not well for variety of reasons, how do you get well enough to fast and things like that? Okay, because fasting is magic. Fasting, we say it's magic, we say it's miraculous, but it's really nature at its finest. It's the way we were designed. All biological organisms were designed um, to have periods of not eating. And remember, not doing something, the amount of time that you're not doing something is equally as important as the time you do something. Okay. And that has to do with being awake and being asleep. That has to do with movement and rest. It has to do with anything. So everything needs to be balanced and monitored. And so eating, when we're getting food, taking it in, busy digesting it and all that, we do need the time of not eating in order to assimilate it and in order to clean up and to repair all that. Because if that doesn't happen, then and we keep eating, that we would just very quickly accumulate toxicities. And then that's when we start seeing illnesses. Illnesses come from the accumulation of toxicities. That's what they are. Read a book. Read a book by Dr. John Tilden, MD, 1915, called Toxemia Explained. All right, cool. So now let's get, but The Science and Fine Art of Fasting by Herbert Shelton. Also in that book, I give a list of books that you want to get on fasting. Have them at your side and start reading them. You read them beginning the first hour, because it's the only place you're going to get the real input, the real knowledgeable input about what you are doing, right? Because when you're fasting, it's not that you're not eating, it's that you're fasting. It's not a negative, it's a positive, right? Because not eating, if I was not eating, then I would feel deprived. But if I'm fasting, then I'm doing something that's it's going to help me heal. It's part of the healing journey, and it's incredible what I have seen. Would just blow your mind. So I'm sure some of you saw the post that we made on my friend Steve. What can you say? What can you say? This should have not, right? According to all that we would ever learn in medical school or physiology, should never be that someone who's quadriplegic can, after several, many years, be able to walk. So, pretty crazy. Okay, so the book it's called what's the name of it? It's called the name of the book is Therapeutic Fasting: A Clinical Manual for Metabolic Reset and Renewal. All right, it's only about 40 pages or so. But it's how to step by step, and let's do this right. And yeah, and you can't. So anyway, that'll be out as soon as I figure out how to publish it. And the second one's coming out is the definitive work on fasting. I think it's going to be probably the book of the most comprehensive definitive book on fasting of our era, because I start from the beginning, and I really go deep into what's going on physiologically, psychologically, spiritually, and so it's an important read. We need this. The reason we need all this is because what you remember, like 20 years ago, I had my license was threatened because I had recommended fasting, right? And nobody talked about it. And now suddenly everybody's an expert. I'm not sure how they became experts in that time, but they did. And but they're a lot of them are saying things that just simply aren't true about the physiology and stuff. So I wanted to clarify that in detail. So if you want to understand the only cure ever handed down to us by God, fasting. And it's the only time you can even use the word cure. When we talk about the word cure, we're not talking about curing from disease. We're talking about reestablishing, renewing, and getting a second chance. It's getting another chance at life. It's cleaning up all the mistakes. It's being forgiven for your trespassing on your own well-being, and you get a whole new start. So in that regard, it's a psychological, spiritual journey. And that really is what it is. When you think about fasting, you look at it, every spiritual discipline has always included it, every religion. And so it's really a spiritual journey that has a physical aspect because there's a physical part to us. We usually focus on the physical, but even if you do that, by the time you get to the point when you're in well-established ketosis and you've got a calmness about you, you're going to start to realize you're going to start paying less attention to your body because it doesn't need attention. And you find yourself being that part of you that's not physical. So you're allowed uh, time to get to know yourself, and because the body becomes, it's just this self-healing miracle. So anyway, let's get started for the day. Let's look at some questions and remind everyone that where's my thing? No, that's not it. Wait, I'll get it. I'll get it. Come on. Oh, there is that it. Yes, finally. Gosh. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay, here we are. So, just as a reminder, everyone, that you know that this is being live streamed on all social media. So, and if you want to find out where it is on X and TikTok, it's going to be at Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD, and the other ones, all Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Rumble, it's at Dr. Thomas Lodi with no MD. All right. And again, if you're sick right now and you've got uh um if you're sick right now with CFCs, and just as a reminder, our clinic in Arizona is still there after 20 years, and we're happy to help you, and we can help you. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, and then other than that, I suggest, recommend that you join the inner circle so that we can communicate throughout the days. Okay, we're gonna do that. Okay, so because there's anyway, join the service, and that's health and healing, parasites, and CFCs, chronically fermenting cells. And just going to say it once right now. I hope there's enough people on, so I don't have to say it again. That is chronically fermenting cells, or with what Rockefeller has taught us to the term cancer, which is a ridiculous term. It's a ridiculous term. It's absurd. But whatever. Anyway, the world's absurd, more absurd than I ever thought. Anyway, that's not a word that we use. We use chronically fermenting cells because it's useful, because it gives us information, and we know how to deal with it. All right. So um, please join those groups so we can interact. All right. So let's start with questions. And this is Dr. Kimberly. And protocol for CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. What is a good protocol for CLL? She is asking. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. We're still on, yeah. Okay. She is taking ivermectin, one in the AM, one in the PM, 12 milligrams. Has constipation issues, backup, and bloating. Eats out a lot. No restrictions on diet. Binders outside charcoal that doesn't constipate. Well, Kimberly, Dr. Kimberly, if she has no restrictions on eating and she's eating out a lot, she's needs to take this more seriously. I can understand why that happens with CLL, because CLL, a lot of times there's a long period where nothing's happening, and you say, "Well, I'm not." You think you're not ill, and in fact, the main therapy by the conventional world is watch and wait. Watch and wait. What? Watch and wait for it to become an emergency. Yeah, that's what they do. So it's madness. So you don't watch and wait. You clean up. It's time to clean up. So she needs to go through, whoever this person is, needs to do everything that we always talk about. And that, beginning with biological dentistry, then cleansing and fasting and colon hydrotherapy, lymphatic work, meditation, prayer, everything, balancing hormones, balancing everything. This is what we always do in any condition of illness that deviates from health. It's always the first step. And you don't have to be doing only that first step. You can be doing the second, third steps, which are trying to eliminate whatever CFCs are there without harming the healthy cells, while you wake up and balance the immune system, because you have to be doing all three of those. You can't just be going, it's not a military affair. Okay, so just one thing about the always forget the fasting and medications. There are medications that, for example, steroids. If you're on steroids, for example, if you've been on certain high blood pressure medicines, if you've been on antidepressant medicines, there's anti-anxiety medicines. There's a lot of classes, and I list them, of medicines that you need to be weaned off. You cannot just stop them abruptly, because some of them can be life-threatening if you stop them abruptly. So you've got to have someone, a knowledgeable person, usually a physician, or a nurse practitioner, or a PA, somebody who can help you wean properly, or in preparation of the fast. Because remember, the problem with taking medications during a fast is that the medications may interfere with the actual mechanisms by which fasting does its magic. And then there are medicines people will never be able to get off on. So we need to determine, are we still going to get benefit from the fast? You got to have someone who knows what they're doing. Okay. And then if you can still have benefit and we can stay on the medication, let's do it. All right. So, there we go. Oh, sorry, I keep losing. There we go. Okay, there we go. So that's the answer. So CLL, and I think the other issue that you're bringing up here, which is important, is the okay. So the other issue that you're bringing up here is the fact that she's taking ivermectin, and what else? Only ivermectin. Okay, so with regards to antiparasitic medications and leukemia, it's pretty much the same kind of benefit you get from these medications as solid tumors, like breast, pancreas, colon, lymphomas, etc. But they do respond positively. So, for example, there is a pyrimethamine, which I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's used in certain parasitic conditions. But anyway, so it's finding a great utility with CLL. Okay, so there's actually a clinical trial going on with pyrimethamine in people with what they call relapse and refractory CLL. And what they found is that it blocks a specific protein called the STAT3, which is really important. And then because that kind of blocks the progression. The other thing is ivermectin. Ivermectin is an amazing molecule. What it does is, specifically in the CLL, but this happens in other CFCs as well. But it's specifically with CLL, it induces it puts the cell into apoptosis. It stimulates apoptosis where it recycles it, right? It gets rid of it and recycles it. Okay, and this happens pretty much. It's assumed, but it's because one of the things that the medicine does is that it increases the intracellular concentration of chloride, which winds up producing all kinds of free radicals that actually kill or eliminate the cell. I can't use that word on social media because there's no because. It's just that the system is ridiculous. People talk about bizarre, weird, disgusting things, right? Like killing babies and stuff. That's fine, as long as you don't use the word whatever they're drinking blood, all that's okay. But I got to be really careful when I'm talking about this. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so that's what ivermectin does, and so it's even being studied. Not only with CLL, it's found to be really quite effective with triple negative. And the reason they say triple negative is because it's believed that nothing else can works quite well with triple negative, which is just not true. There are many things that work, but this specifically has been found to work, and it's ivermectin. And usually it's 12 milligrams 3 times a day if your liver functions are okay. The other couple is the benzimidazoles, like mebendazole, fenbendazole. Okay. And what they do is they disrupt the microtubules, much like some of the chemotherapies. But the microtubules are these little, they're almost like a skeleton inside of the cell, but attached to muscle so that there's movement. So it's how the cell actually divides or moves around, so it's this. So actually, if you really disrupt the microtubules, then the cell cannot divide, right? And if it can't divide, it can't grow. Okay. And it's even used in high-grade gliomas, right? Which is, glioblastoma and stuff like that. So pretty good. So Dr. Kimberly, she needs to stop eating out, clean up her life very, very much, because otherwise nothing is going to work. It might work temporarily, but it's not going to lead her to her goal. All right, the next one is Ricky, and this is on dehydration and fasting. Good evening, Dr. Lodi. I'm 69 years old, and I fast daily, 16 to 18 hours, 24 to 48 hours a monthly. But January 2025, I did my first fast lasting 76 hours, fairly easy. So I fell into dehydration unknowingly and lost coherency, so much so that I was hospitalized for 3 or 4 days. Three nights, 4 days, of which I remember almost nothing. I wish to do a longer fast, but I'm fearful of potentially falling into dehydration again. I did indeed drink plenty of water, but I believe I didn't get enough electrolytes, which is what I think caused my dehydration. What are your thoughts? Should I try again, and what measures should I take to minimize or eliminate dehydration? Thank you very much. This is Ricky. Okay, Ricky. So thank you very much. All right. So yeah, I was kind of talking about this earlier on, as you might have noticed, about getting dehydrated. It's very easy to get dehydrated. And yes, electrolytes have a lot to do with it. Now, you can take minerals, and there's various forms that you can get minerals in. There's you can get they have those bottles of liquid minerals that come from the shale, the upper layers of ancient earth that have, that are just full of minerals. And the thing about these minerals is that they're basically, since it's really compressed, it's ancient compressed vegetation. So these minerals are already uh, chelated or connected to um, an amino acid or an organic acid, which means that it'll be bioavailable, be able to absorb it, right? Rather than it's a little different, just absorbing minerals by themselves without having a carrier, which is organic matter from a plant. So, so these are that's one source, and you can also just get pills like one I use, Complete Mineral Complex by what's it called? By Designs for Health. If you can all see that, I don't know if you can all see that, but Designs for Health. But it's a good one. I take 3 of those twice a day. But so when you're fasting, you don't want to take solid stuff. It's just water. So you can get you can open those capsules and put them in water, or there are other sources. But getting electrolytes and minerals are good on the one hand. And then secondly, in the purist, if you're a purist with regards to fasting, you're saying you shouldn't do that. However, and that's why there's a pre-fast process. And it should take about 2 weeks preparing, depending on where you're coming from. If you've been eating and living really in ways that are detrimental, then you're going to need maybe more than 2 weeks to prepare, because you do want to prepare so you can go into this smoothly and not have problems. And I'm, guessing that might be what happened with you, Ricky. Is you might not have prepared, and that's it. It's not necessarily minerals. And we shouldn't have to take them. We should be able to just fast, because over the millennia, people have not taken minerals and fasted. So we're like, the first generation, doing that. All right, now, where are we now? So, okay, so now here we are. So, this is from Chase, and the question is, hey, this is really urgent. My dad is 54, not in the best of shape, but works every day, never had any major sicknesses, and stays away from doctors and hospitals. Good. Recently had breathing problems soon after using a paint stripper at work. And this past Tuesday, he was having an extremely hard time breathing. When he arrived at the hospital, his oxygen level was 50%. 50%. He responded well to steroids and blood thinners and said there was no lung damage. The main current concern is his kidney functions, blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. His heart was only pumping 30 to 45%. I need to know better alternatives than pharmaceuticals, doctors' visits, and surgeries for the rest of his life, whether it's dietary changes, fasting, parasite cleanse, and how to go about it without being a shock to his system, or interfere with whatever they want to prescribe him. Please, if I need to sign up to get a more in-depth plan, I will do. Question: advice needed to boost liver and heart function. What's a good diet for a 54-year-old who recently had type 2 diabetes? Help, please. My dad recently rushed to the hospital. Okay. All right. So I guess all those questions were from you. So Chase. All right. So, okay. So your father, um, well, the fact that the diabetes, which just remember, there's no diabetes. There's just his body's his cells have become resistant to insulin because there was too much glucose in this body. Period. That's it. That's it. And there's no way to not be it. Okay, and that has to do with eating, right? And we know that eating starches and cooked starches is going to flood our body with glucose more so than eating a chocolate bar. All right, because it's going to last longer. So, but that's it. That's the diabetes. Again, diabetes type 2 is an eating disorder. It's what it is. Okay. And, but he also had, what else did he also have? He also has high blood pressure and high blood pressure. And what else? And obviously some kind of heart failure, because his ejection fraction is 30 or 45%. So his heart is the heart muscle has lost some strength, and he has high blood pressure. So that's usually one of the main ways in which the heart becomes weak and you get into heart failure is with chronic high blood pressure. Because with chronic high blood pressure, the heart's having to pump against hard arteries, right? And it's just it has to work harder and harder and harder. Okay, and so as that happens, it can become weak and it can lose its power, right? And so and that's how you get heart failure to pump adequately. All right, and that combined with being insulin resistant and the high blood pressure and all that, it's all diet. It's all diet. Not only diet, it's a time you go to bed, movement. There's it's lifestyle. 100% lifestyle. There's nothing else going in. So his recent event where he breathed in, he was unfortunate because he breathed in these toxic fumes, was kind of like the final event that made him no longer able to compensate, and he got he went into, sounds like, respiratory and cardiac failure. And then when I failure, doesn't mean it's over. It just means this is the term we use, but like in respiratory compromise and cardiac compromise. In other words, they're not functioning. So you wind up getting a decreased ability to pump blood throughout the system and the lungs, because the respiratory compromise is not able to exchange gas because there's some toxin in there as well. But on top of it, he had already had high blood pressure, which was affecting the blood flow to the heart and to the lungs and all that. So it's all combined. And there's no individual diseases. We need to all get away from this idea of diseases. There's no disease. There's no thing in there doing something. There's the body adapting to the fact that we're not taking care of it right. The body's trying to make it. It's doing its best to survive what we're doing to it, right? We're feeding it with non-food. We're disrupting the circadian rhythm by staying up late. We lose out on all the benefits of going to sleep early, which I do go over in quite detail in the fasting book. More so in the second one, which is going to be the definitive work, but in somewhat I go over it in the manual that's ready to go as soon as I can figure out how to print it. But so your dad, yes. What's the best diet for him? The best diet for a 54-year-old man is the best diet, same as the best diet for a 16-year-old girl and a 93-year-old transgender. It doesn't matter. Humans are humans, and we need human food. Period. Always. Every one of us needs human food, and human food was here long before humans were able to invent machines. Long before we made machines, long before we made what we call civilization, which is blasphemy, long before we did that, we were eating. And we were eating what? Food that was for which we were designed. That's how we got to the point of being able to make machines to now augment the food. All right? So human food has always existed. All right? And believe me, God did not make mistakes, and that it needs to be heated up or some way augmented. Okay, apples are perfect. You don't need to make applesauce out of them. All right, you don't need tomato sauce. You need the tomato in fresh with its enzymes and all that sort of thing. All right, and if you can't comprehend that, I'm going to do I'll be writing more about that, because that as well. But you need to understand that we were designed for, just like look at all animals, except for our domesticated pets, are eating food that nature presents to them. They don't cook it, they don't rearrange it, they don't dehydrate it, they don't do anything. They just eat it the way it is. And in a natural environment without human interference, they live out fantastic lives with vitality and vigor, and they're strong, right? I mean, we usually marvel over the strength of the wild animals, over the agility and the vitality. And why? That's because they're living within the parameters of their biology, right? So we don't do that because we live in an artificial, civilized world. Civilized is definitely an oxymoron. Okay, because give you an example. Here's one example. I got this one for you. Now we know that the CFCs, for those that just tuned in, CFCs are what people call cancer. CFCs has always been number 2 cause of death in the world, with cardiovascular problems being number 1. Well, that was true until recently. A study published on the British Medical Journal showed that all of the high-income countries, and there's about what, I don't know, 26 of them or so, and we're talking about, most of the European countries, United States, Canada, the Australia, the high-income countries. Now CFCs has become the number 1, above cardiovascular. Cardiovascular is still number 1 for the mid and low income countries. So the high income countries, we could say, are the most civilized. And this is what civilization does. Civilization says that nature belongs over there and we belong over here. And so we're going to have parks and we're going to have zoos and we're going to stay away from it. There's not going to have any stuff in my house. You keep that dirt out of there. You keep it, I don't want it in there. So we've attempted to separate ourselves from nature, which is beyond absurd, since we are nature. It's crazy. It's madness. All right. But it's part of the whole, insanity. It's kind of, and of course, Rockefeller took all of this condition that we were in when he appeared on the scene in the late 1800s, or mid to late 1800s. And he took this and he said, okay, and he turned it into what we have today, which is complete separation from nature. All right, now, so your father has got to clean up. So what he needs to eat is real food, uncooked plant food. That's what it is. Plant food is neat roots, stems, leaves, flowers, seeds, nuts, fruit. That's what they are. Okay, all of that, and in all of that is everything that we need. Everything we need, all of the macronutrients, all the micronutrients, in a bioavailable form that our body will easily digest and assimilate. And then he needs to. So what you need to do is join the group. I'm glad you brought that up. Join our group. Join the. You can join the health and healing group, which we meet every other week. You can the parasite group we meet every week, or the CFC group we meet twice a week. But that's meeting, and we have discussions and all that. But we also have Telegram groups where you get all kinds of amazing, useful information and resources and stuff like that. And then there's access to lots of webinars and all sorts of stuff. So it's really of value. But if your father's ready, and usually here's what makes people ready to change. Are people ready to make changes, significant changes in their life? Usually, no, they don't. They're not. Why? Because things are okay. I probably should do that, but I'm okay. As soon as it's not okay. So we need to get not okay. What does that mean? We need to suffer. And it's only when we suffer, pain and suffering are what wake us up and say, hey, change or die. And then, okay, that's what it takes for us, because we don't have, I don't know what it is, but we're just not very smart. We're not very smart. That's why it's so hard to if you've got adolescents, teenagers, they're not going to listen to you about not doing something, because they're doing it and they're fine. And so whatever we're telling them is theoretical and doesn't make any sense to them, has no value. It's irrelevant to them. For example, let's say you have a son who is really good at basketball. And like one of the top players at his age, in his grade, and then he starts smoking cigarettes. You can tell him, stop. You got to stop. It's not good. Blah 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 blah. He's going to continue smoking because he likes it. It's fun. It's friends. He's smoking with his friends and stuff like that. But the day he gets out on the court and he can't run anymore, and he can feel it, and he knows directly that it's coming from that, is the only thing that's going to make him give it a second thought. All right. So we can't tell our children how to live. We can't tell them. We cannot prevent them from making the mistakes they need to make. They're born for the same reason you're born, and that is we need to experience life. We need to experience. We need to suffer. Our suffering is our. It's the it's the fire that carves the character out of us, right? If you're going to make a piece of steel, you've got to uh, uh, it's got to go through a certain heat, certain fire. It's the initiation. So our pain and suffering is our initiation into the house of wisdom. Okay, so that's how we get there. So we can't we're not going to prevent them from suffering. So really, the best way that we can communicate to anyone about what we think is, like the way you should be living, is to live it and become an example of what that does. You don't have to say a word. If you're living a certain way and you're bouncing off the walls and you've got everything you do is done with joy, and you succeed at it, you do good at it. People are going to say, what? They're going to be attracted to that. You don't have to say a word. And then they're going to, they'll be interviewing you. What do you eat? Well, what time do you go? Because, if they have someone who's 104 years old, they're going to say, what did you eat? What's the secret? All that sort of stuff. All right. So that's when you have to have the people ask you, because they're so impressed with how you are. Okay. It's better than any words, whatever rhetoric you say are just words. All right. So become that which you want to see in others. Okay. Now, so your father, he can absolutely be helped. His heart we can get his heart, and there are supplements that will help with heart. But first, it's amazing, the cleansing. And when you do a fast for a certain period of time, you actually renew the endothelial cells, which are the cells that line all your blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and your heart. And those are actually it's considered an organ almost now, because it's throughout the whole body. And it's the final um okay, your blood is going through your vessels, and it's the quality of the blood vessels, the lining of the blood vessels, that will determine how well that blood is distributed, and that blood is your life. And these endothelial cells become hardened and non-responsive. Remember, they're not just passive cells that are sitting there. They also produce chemicals, cytokines, and they produce. They're very active. They're almost like an endocrine organ, but they're also paracrine, which is similar to endocrine, like a hormone. So they're essential to life. And then when you get down to what they call the um, uh, microcirculation, which is 70% of our circulation, which is just little arterioles, capillaries, and venules. Okay, and 70% of circulation. That's where the action happens. That's where uh, uh, nutrients and things and waste are exchanged into the cells. That's where the life actually happens. So these endothelial cells are essential to life, and you can't renew them. There's no way to renew them except by fasting, and you got to get up to a certain time of fasting. But that's one way to do it. So, anyway, a lot of things your father can do. He's join the groups, but he's got to start with a cleanse. We've got to look at biological dentistry. None of this changes. We got to restore as much as we can, his respiratory function and his cardiac function. And we can get back, so we can increase his ejection fraction. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. This is not unusual. It can happen. We can do that. So, please join this group. Health and healing. Go to drlodi.com, drlodi.com, and you can join the groups. All right. Okay. Now, this is Daniela. Diabetes is the topic. Hi, my 15-year-old son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He's diagnosed. It was a curse. There's no thing. He doesn't have it. It doesn't exist. There is no diabetes type 1. Okay. There's not. It's not a thing. Okay. So what's happening with your son is that his pancreas is no longer producing as much insulin as it did. Okay, that's what's happening. The question is, how did this come to be, and how can we change it? Right, that's the change. That's it. So he's now insulin dependent. What is the antiparasitic treatments do you do? Doctors in Romania do not believe in healing after complete deworming, but I believe. My boy Johnny can be cured of diabetes, and I'm writing to Romania. Okay, so here's the thing, please, Daniela Popa. Uh, First of all, you've got to stop using their language. Okay, you're thinking that there's a thing called diabetes, and you want to be cured from it, and you want to get rid of it. That is not what's going on, and that's a distraction, and it's just absolutely not true. Uh, Many times, people that wind up having where their pancreas is no longer producing insulin, a lot of times this is precipitated by um, dairy, if you believe it, a lot of dairy, and that's because of the immune response to dairy. Um, but it's not just dairy, but that it plays a very large role in this condition. So I don't know with your son particularly how much dairy he had and all that, but just for you to keep that in mind. So basically, what's going on with this condition where you're not producing the pancreas is not producing lots of insulin is that something the immune system has been disrupted and it's attempting to uh, maintain homeostasis and balance and function. All right, that's what it's attempting to do, and it's uh, we're not. Our bodies are fantastic at adapting. I mean, think about it. Think about all of it. Think of how people treat them or treat their bodies for decades, right? They drink, they eat terribly, they stay up late. I mean, and they're still alive. So it's amazing what our body can do. But there are some situations where the adaptive abilities are just overwhelmed. They can't adapt, and that's kind of what's happening here when you wind up losing basically function of one of your organs and not being able to produce insulin is losing partial function of that organ, the pancreas. And so that needs to be restored. Now, can it be restored with Johnny? It depends how far things have gone. But the longer that he's 100% insulin dependent, that is now um, uh, telling the pancreas it doesn't have to produce insulin because we're going to give it. And so it becomes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's called atrophy. So you really need when I work with people in this condition, we need to continually challenge the pancreas to be able to make insulin. And so, um, but first of all, got to clean them out, just like we would anybody who's 55. Got to clean it. It all starts with cleansing, and that starts with looking at a biological dentist, etc. You've got to be tired and bored of me telling you the same old thing every time, but it's never changing. The thing about the truth is that it never changes, okay? By definition. All right. So um yeah, good you say it just doesn't change. Uh so thank you, Susan. There's a man on two proof. All right. I'm gonna get to your guys' questions in a minute. I want to start doing this a little. I need to finish with these people that have put in submitted their questions. Okay, so so the doctors in Romania don't believe whatever. It doesn't matter what they believe. We don't care what they believe or anybody believes. Okay, what people believe in is not really. It's fun. It's a nice little story. It's a fairy tale. You want to tell? Well, I believe in Easter bunnies and Santa Claus, and I believe in uh, the United States of America. And okay, whatever you believe in doesn't matter. What we want to know is what is the truth. Okay, and when you know the truth, you don't. It's not that you don't believe it. The truth is the truth, right? And you either know it or you don't. If something is not true, then you can believe it or not. But you don't believe in something that's true. You don't believe in mountains. You don't believe in oceans. Okay, you either know about them or you don't. That which is true, or not. That which is not true, So we don't say we believe in stuff. The question is, do we know what's going on with the effect of these deworming medications? And I hate that term, deworming. They use that so to uh, linguistically diminish It's potential. Because the minute I say it's deworming, that's what it is. It's nothing else than that. It's not deworming. One of the things it does is get rid of worms. Yeah, but it also gets rid of CFCs. Uh, so anyway, but so yeah. So your son, does he need to have some antiparasitic? No doubt. But keep in mind, if he was on dairy, and if he's still on dairy, you eliminate that. But you all eliminate other things. You got to eliminate animal products, dairy. You've got to eliminate, probably any of the anything that produces gluten. Right. Cooked cooked starches and grains. All right. He needs to go through a cleanse. He's just got to do it. He's 15 and he's not going to want to do it. It's very difficult to get someone that age to do these kind of things unless they've been scared. If they've been scared and they've suffered, then they'll do it. But it's very, very difficult. Even for someone who's 15 who's been scared and all that, it's still very difficult because of their age, and it's an age where interacting with friends is number one, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, so now, so what do we need to do? Your son, I wish we could join the health and healing group so we can, and bring your son on, and let's work together, because I there's so much I don't know about his situation. He's on to insulin, but and I don't know how he's eating and all that. So because you can the way they direct people in this condition, the way they I mean Rockefeller, Rocky and the gang, the way they direct them is so that they'll become forever dependent and forever disabled. That's what they do. Their goal is not for you to like be well and never come back to them. All right. Do you know of any business in the world who spends any effort at trying to minimize the number of clients they have? No. And the same goes with the medical business. That's what they're into. They need more. They don't want you to get well. If you get well, then you can't use them. They can't use you. All right. So they need sick people. And that's why we have the FDA. Why do you have all right? Even though it's really the Fraud and Death Association, but they think it's called the Food and Drug Association. Think about it. Why would there be an agency that would be in charge of the food and the drugs? Why? Oh, because if you eat these foods, you're gonna need these drugs. Okay, it's all one thing. Okay, so it's not that you'll need these drugs, but they'll convince you that the condition you developed is there's a genetic component to eating. Yes. Everyone's got genes to eat, so you could say it's genetic because why did you get sick like this? Because he's eating. It's genetic. Yes, it's genetic. I have a genetic predisposition to eat food. All right, but that's food. Okay, what we eat is not food. It's not food. What we finally get into our hands, it's not food anymore. It used to be. Maybe, well, hopefully, except you get Bill Gates burgers, you're not gonna. They never even started out as food, and I think his diet, Mr. Gates, his diet should be limited to eating his own hamburgers, only. Um, and I think he should really have some aerosolized mRNA. Yeah, it's good for him, and I'd like to introduce him to a few of Bill Gates' mosquitoes too. Just let him just luxuriate in the beautiful philanthropic, the consequences of his in beautiful philanthropy. Yeah. Anyway. So this is what you have to do. Okay, so let's take away the word diabetes, number one, type 2, like all that sort of thing, and just realize what it is. What's the physiologically going on, because that's what matters. It doesn't matter if you have a name. I could have called it a greenhouse, a banana, a terrier. I mean, it doesn't matter what you call it, but you need to understand what is happening. What's happening is, in one situation where we call type 2, is that the cells become resistant. They have less insulin receptors. They don't respond as much. All right. It's very different than the one who's not able to make the insulin from the pancreas. So they're different conditions, and they came about, even though apparently different. It all comes down to eating. Now, there's an expression that we dig our graves with our teeth, and we do with every bite we take. So we've got to keep that in mind. All right. Uh, let's help Johnny. Please join the health and healing group. Let's do that. Okay. Um, yes, antiparasitics will be helpful, but at what point? We've got to, we've got to approach this logically, right? Where do we start? You start with cleansing, always, always, and end with cleansing. But then you don't end; you continue to cleanse. Okay, Danielle, hormones. 31-year-old female, 5'2", 165 pounds, married, 2 toddler, ICU, RN. Unvaxxed. Great. I only have 2 good weeks a month. The rest of the weeks I'm moody, short-tempered. My head feels like it's being squeezed, where it's going to pop. Migraines, complete instability, borderline PMDD, ruined relationships with annoying family members, will quit jobs, etc. All labs are normal. Wellbutrin is the answer. Baseline, I never eat until I'm nauseous, no appetite. I eat relatively clean. I have no idea what to do or to take. All right. Danielle. All right. You're right to put this under the topic of hormones, because hormones are very much part of what's going on with you, and they're not balanced. And the migraines, what you call migraines, which are vascular headaches, as opposed to tension headaches or other headaches from space occupying lesions, trauma. There's other reasons that trigeminal neuro, cranial nerve problems. So there's lots of potential reasons for headaches, but one is when there's a vascular reactivity, highly reactive vasculature. Again, endothelial cells line blood vessels. But when that's the case, then usually not usually, it means that these are reactive. Your blood vessels in your head are reacting to something, and it's usually something that we ingest. And it's really strange, because with a lot of conditions, people are willing to well, I can't say this, but okay. But especially with migraines, people are just unwilling to think that it's something they're eating, because it's a headache. What do you mean eating? It's a headache. But it is. There's something that triggers a vascular response. That's just really the way it is. So you've got to. So for Danielle, you've got to begin a cleanse. You've got to do a cleanse, and you do a juice cleanse. And so could the previous person with the 15-year-old, and the other one with the father. Okay, before that, 54-year-old father. It's all. Let's started with the juice cleanse. So celery, cucumber, spinach, and kale, and we'll add in some apple and lemon, or something, whatever else to make it delicious. So you're drinking 3 to 4, 5 liters a day, as much as you can, and not eating. And you do this for as long as you can, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. The longer you do it, the more the longer you do it, the more deeply you will have gone into the roots of this and eliminated it. Okay, because the longer you do it, it actually starts to get a chance to renew. So it's not that we're just getting rid of toxins and cleansing, but now we're renewing tissues. And then if we can stop this cleanse and then eat really healthy for, let's say, a good 5-6 weeks, and then do a water fast, we're gonna be completely back to normal. Okay, I'm telling you this. This is not hyperbole, and this is not a guess, and this is not a gimmick. I'm not going to get anything from telling you this. I don't get anything other than the satisfaction if you hear it, actually, that you changed your life. That's what I would love to see happen. But yeah, everything, any condition you have will get better if you do this. And I challenge you to challenge me. Let's let's the null effect. What's the null hypothesis that this won't work? Eh, let's see that. Let's go on that assumption. It won't work, and let's do it and see what happens. Okay. I've been doing the clinical work in medicine 40 years. But if you add psychology, it was probably 50 years that I've been working with people. So so when I say things, it's not like I'm just imagining it. I've been there. I've seen pretty much everything. So, and I know what works and what doesn't work. All right. So anyway, so that's what we need to do. And so your migraines will be gone. We do the cleanse by the end of by 3 weeks into the cleanse, you will no longer have migraines. Your moods, your instability will be gone. And then when we come out of this and we cleanse, and during that time it's colonic hydrotherapy, going to bed early. There's a lot to it, but you do it all, and then we start balancing hormones. We've got to find out what's unbalanced, so we check your hormones. We got to balance your autonomic nervous system. We have to heal the gut. There's several things we need to do, but if we can do this, and I don't care what your condition is, whatever name you want to put on it, it's just another apple on the tree. Okay? And those apples are a result of the roots, roots and trunk branches. And I can cut off every bad apple, and I haven't solved the problem because I'm going to have a harvest coming up. So it's not the apples. Right. So whatever it is you think you have, you don't have. Your body is adapting to being treated very, very unkindly and disrespectful. That's what we're doing to ourselves. We have to accept that. Until we know that and we're willing to change it, we won't. Unless you know you're an alcoholic, you're not going to ever not be an alcoholic. The man. That's all. All right, now let's get on to the next one. So Danielle, join a group, Health and Healing, drthomaslodi.com, drthomaslodi.com. Join it and let's talk. We can talk, you and I, face to face. And guess what? You're going to be well. You're going to be well. So is your 54-year-old dad. So is your 15-year-old son. Going to be well. There's one way to health. There's not another way to get health. You can't buy it. You can't demand it. You can't negotiate it. You can't steal it. You can only earn it, period. And you can only earn health by one way. There's not two ways. There's not 1.5 ways. There's one way, and that is by living healthy. There is no other way. And there's no other thing that you should be looking for rather than how do I restore my health? It's not how do I get rid of whatever. So you get rid of the CFCs and you've got heart failure. Are you happy? No. Your goal is health. My goal is health. His goal is health. Everyone except Trump. His goal is not health. Right? Doesn't he have like a KFC in Air Force One or whatever? I don't know. Man, he's an enigma, right? Here's a guy who eats like horribly and he's still around. Now, okay, here do we have, this is Epson. This is the last one that we're going to go to calls, current questions. Okay, Epson. So the topic is diet food. Hello, Dr. Lodi. I have a question about the real nutrient requirements we should be trying to achieve. I am new to eating raw and vegan, and I'd like to begin by tracking my food to make sure I'm hitting the proper nutrient goals. I've read your great protein myth and cooked food is poison guides, so I understand that established or conventional nutrient requirements are not what I should be following. Do you or another doctor nutritionist you'd recommend have an established number, list, or document that outlines target amounts of nutrients that I could plug into a food tracker? I would like to track macronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and other relevant nutrient categories. If you do, can you send it to the Telegram post or on your website? Telegram post. So are you a member of the group? Anyway, where is it? No. Uh, uh, okay, I can't. Yeah. Actually, what I would recommend that you do is work with a lady that's one on our team. Like if you should join the Health and Healing group first of all, um, and you'll get a lot of this information. You'll be on a Telegram group with hundreds of really smart people that are be your best friends. And but on Tuesdays, so we meet on Mondays, but on Tuesdays, you'll be have the opportunity of being watching, sharing live videos with Vanessa and Darren. And Vanessa is exactly will be able to provide exactly what you're looking for in terms of helping you understand the macronutrients, micronutrients, and putting them in a form that looks like you want to put on a spreadsheet or whatever. So she's beautiful at that, and you could talk to her during the sessions where you can, if you also, you can ask her to do some private sessions with you, like, not, long enough so that you can learn what you want to learn. So she would be the person that would be the way to go. All right. Because she's many things, but one is she's a nutritionist. She's, well trained in science. I mean, she knows everything that, she's, uh, yeah, I don't know. Can't say enough. I can't say enough about her. She's amazing. So that's who you need to check out. But keep in mind this: if you want to just eat healthy, you want to make sure you're getting everything. Then you have 6 tablespoons of soaked chia for at least 2 3 hours in a nut milk. So I'll soak them overnight in the refrigerator. Okay, and now you can add whatever you want to make it delicious. You can add berries, you can add cinnamon, you can add vanilla, whatever, or just by themselves and how I like them. Then later on, you're gonna have a smoothie of milk, of a nut milk, 3 freshly ground tablespoons of flax seeds, freshly ground right now, 2 handfuls of broccoli sprouts, and then whatever you want, strawberries, pineapple, whatever you want to make it delicious. Those 2 things. Then half a cup of walnuts, or a cup of walnuts throughout the rest of the day. And then just a big, fat, wonderful salad with everything in it that you can think of: avocados, carrots, cucumber, celery, kale, cabbage, broccoli. You've done it. You've got everything. You've got more than everything. You've done it. And of course, if it's all organic. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure there's some things, because we don't have the same soil we had that God gave us. God gave us soil full of minerals and stuff with worms. How many worms do you see in the soil around here? So, as a result, we've got to take certain supplements at this point until we can find our ways to living in an organic lifestyle, away from the civilization, right? Civilization. It's another word for prison. It's an artificial world. It's artificial. Artificial means it's against the God, because God made nature, and artificiality is what man made. And why do you think he got so angry at Cain? What did Cain do? He built the machine, the first machine, the plow, which is tantamount to saying, God, look, yeah, you did a good job, but I gotta plow the earth. Anyway, um, anyway, anyway, well, go too far on that. Don't want to freak people out. But anyway, um, now, So the great protein myth and all that sort of thing, right? And I'm glad you've read that. But you actually get everything you want. You get everything you want, and that's what I just said. But Vanessa will help you track it in the ways I think you're looking to do, right? A real quick one here. This is Jules Detox. Hi, Dr. Lodi. I watched you live on Catch Up every week from the UK. You saved my life over a year ago. I wanted to ask you about DMSA and how to take it safely and correctly because I want to be cautious. We haven't seen the sun since before Christmas, and the flooding and the mold sporation is out of control. Run, run, Jules, run! Get out of there. Where are you? You're in the UK. Well, then get out of there, man. You think it's going to get better? You think they're going to say, "Oh, my God, we're sorry, we messed up. We're gonna." No, it's only going to get worse. Get out while you can. Remember, one of your countrymen was a man by the name of George Orwell. He told you this is going to happen. Anyway, so DMSA, yes, it is a chelating agent, and it keep in mind with that all chelating agents, right? Are they have uh, different affinities for metal. So a chelating agent, the word chele is Greek meaning claw, so to grab, right? And so a chelating agent is something that grabs it. So like EDTA, which is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, the tetraacetic acetates are negatives, and then metals are positive, so it grabs it, it chelates, it grabs it like a claw. All right, and then dimercaptosuccinic acid, which is DMSA, is another type of chelating agent. And they have different affinities, whereas DDTA, its favorite is lead, but it also gets mercury and aluminum stuff, but at different, it likes, so it'll drop the aluminum if it sees a lead, right? So, and then DMSA, its favorite is mercury, but they still get all the other ones. So a good way to take DMSA is, for the average adult is like 500 milligrams a night before sleep, maybe 2-3 nights a week, and that way you slowly, and then in the morning you pee out all the metals. Yeah, yeah, and you can increase that amount by going up, adding another 500 in the morning, and if it's not making you feel, because remember when it takes out the heavy metals, sometimes it's going to get uh, essential minerals, which is why whenever you're doing any kind of chelation, you want to be sure you're taking extra minerals somehow and drinking lots of fresh organic juices that have minerals in them as well. But basically, that's how you do it. So DMSA is nice because it's oral, meaning you don't have to go sit in the doctor's office, and you could take it even twice a day, and you can go up to higher amounts, but you've got to do that carefully. But I mean, just to get a good, simple, steady, you can just do 2-3 nights a week before bed, 500, and you can try going up a little higher if you wanted, but make sure you get lots of minerals during the day. You're getting lots of minerals because you want to get back your remember, minerals are a metal, but they're they're necessary for our biochemistry. Whereas heavy metals have no role in our physiology, but they wind up stealing and usurping. So the role of our minerals. So, all right, and I'm gonna start answering questions on that live now. Just let me get one thing. Okay, very good. Uh, okay, so let's see. Let's bean juice. Bean juice, bean soup, coffee beans. Ah, okay. What time is it? Great. Okay. So let's answer some questions. Uh, all right. So here's a question. Let's look at here. This is Jim Beatty. Where do you go? With a water fast, should you? Wait, keeps moving. With a water with a wait with a water fast, should you add fresh lemon juice and Celtic salt? So with a water fast, you don't want anything with water. Lemon juice will have glucose in it, and that will change the metabolism. That will change your metabolism. Okay, because what you're looking for is a metabolic reset that happens with fasting, and um, so anything lemon or even like a tea, a black tea, any kind of green tea, it's still going to have glucose. It's still going to change your um, what's going on metabolically. Okay, so you don't really want that. Celtic salt, should you do that? Again, that you're adding something, but that's just salt. So yeah, you could do Celtic salt or Himalayan salt or any kind of, and do like a half a teaspoon in a half a glass of water twice a day. Just drink it, and then you can do that. Or you could take a mineral. You could take some mineral, but make sure there's nothing in it. There's no organic. There's nothing. Just minerals. All right. So it's best if you prepare for the fast by getting as healthy as possible, right? You want to tune up as much as possible so that you can fast, right? And that's getting off medications, preparing for the period, because there's a period of time when you first stop eating, when you first get past like within 24 to 48 hours, 24 hours, you're now into glucagon's up, right? Insulin's down, glucagon's up. There's lots of things that happen. You've got ghrelin increasing, which means you're going to be super hungry, and you got leptin decreasing, because together you're going to be, really hungry. And so anyway, I go over all of that, why you need to do what when. But anyway, you do not want to. You can't. Don't mess with it, okay? Because it's going to heal you. You're going to heal. You're going to be healed. All of your ills will be gone. This is what happens. All right. And this is and this and I challenge you. Show me it's not. Show me this. Show me it's not true. Okay, because I know it's true, and I know it's true because remember, God gave us fasting. And why do I say that? Why would I say such a? Why would I be so bold as to say that? Well, it's not boldness. It's just observation. Every There you go with that weird camera. Every creature on the planet, when they're sick, they stop eating. And they're under the auspices of instinct. Instinct is the divine web by which all creatures are connected to the wisdom of God, except us. We opted out for instinct, and we became enculturated. I'm a German. I'm French. I'm American. I'm Australian. I'm African. I'm Thai. No, you're not. You're an Earthling, by the way, because when you die, your body does not turn back into Germany. It turns back into Earth. It doesn't turn back into Thailand. It turns back into Earth. And the Earth is the Earth is the Earth is the Earth. And you, without a breath, are Earth. It's that breath, the divine breath of God, that animates the flesh. And when the breath leaves, the flesh becomes Earth. It's just the way it is. So we are Earthlings, by the way. So let's see, which way did these go? These questions. And do I have any questions on Instagram? That's fair. I can't be unfair. Instagram, you guys have any questions? Okay, here's one. Pritzy on Instagram. I have a small mass in my throat on the left side only, which makes it difficult to swallow. I was diagnosed with cryptosporidium and aspergillus in my stool test. All right, so Pritzy, So your throat on the left side, you mean like your near the back of your tongue, your tonsil there, or is it a lymph node? Is it? It's not on your tongue. Anyway, um, so you were diagnosed with those in your stool, so definitely want to be taking, care of those. I mean, for sure. Um, but what, like, let's see, so what have you done? I mean, I wish, can we talk? I mean, have you, have they put you on medication? Or are you, I hope you're not, I hope you don't get a biopsy. I mean, can you tell me what's going on? And there's no way for us to continue talking. Uh, I don't know if you can answer me. See, there's no way. Okay, so it's hard. So let's just say, so aspergillosis, can be major problems with lungs and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's what's going on there or not, and I don't know about cryptosporidium, but uh, I hope you get a uh, okay. What you need to do, you need, like everyone, we need to begin by cleansing. Okay, we've got to begin by cleansing. Because that's it. Because if we get rid of the toxins and all that, we free up the immune system. There's many things that happen, but we begin with cleansing. All right, and part of the cleansing in your situation is, since we found aspergillosis and cryptosporidium, we should deal with it. So the aspergillosis being a fungal, right? There are antifungal medications, like itraconazole, fluconazole, uh, amphotericin B, which you don't want to have. We used to call it amphoterrible. Uh, but anyway, so a combination of, you got to start with the cleansing and then use antifungals. But if you've got funguses in there, you've also got other things. There's an ecosystem, so you'll have parasites and you'll have all sorts of stuff. So you've really got to be thorough and complete and comprehensive in your, with regards to parasites in both the worms and the protozoa, as well as uh, the fungi. So as part of your cleansing, which will be juicing and all that, plus biological dentist, very, very important. I mean, not important, necessary, essential, must be. Okay. In addition to that, you'll need to be doing the antifungals and the antiparasitics. And if you can come on our group, come on the parasite group, join the drlodi.com, drlodi.com, join the parasite group, and I can talk to you directly. We can keep talking and work this out, because I can't, I've got to talk. We've got to share information so I can go further on this. All right, here's another one from on Instagram. What do you recommend when there's a bunch of mucus in the stool every day? Okay, so mucus in the stool. Remember, mucus produced by a gastrointestinal sac, tract by glands that are mucus glands, and mucus is a protectant. It's a way of it's sticky, so it grabs stuff, and it gets kind of stuck, and then it's usually on a conveyor belt going one way or another. So we have them in lining our lungs and in our GI tract and all that. So mucus, so it's being over secreted or secreting a lot in response to something. So there's something going on. There's a severe dysbiosis, meaning you're very unbalanced in your gut, and a lot of times they'll be associated with blood and mucus. But anyway, and this is when they come up with names, diagnostic names, like irritable bowel or ulcerative colitis or whatever, or SIBO. Anyway, those are just names. It's just, they're all names for severe dysbiosis. So you need to do what? You need to do a good thorough cleanse, and we need to, a fast at some point, a water fast, very important. Colon hydrotherapy, clean it out, and then put in good, healthy bacteria, and make sure you're eating human food so that you can raise the kind of bacteria and microorganisms that you want that are going to be in supportive of your healthy physiology. And that only happens by eating a certain type of food, the food that raises them. There are certain other foods that people are eating that are going to raise a different group of microorganisms. Okay, so we have to restore balance. We have to restore balance in your endocrine system as well, because but anyway, the mucus means that it's over secreting. It's not over secreting. It's secreting a lot because it needs to, uh, in response to something. So there's something in there, and what is in there is a dysbiosis. There's an imbalance in the microorganisms, which are they're not in addition to the microorganisms in our gut are part of the way it works. They're not. The gut wouldn't work without them. They are they're they're as much a part of who we are as our blood is. Your blood is not something other than our physiology. It's part of how we live. It's part of life. It's part of the biological cycle. And so are these microorganisms. They're not separate from us. They're part of us. And if they're out of balance, then we're out of balance, because they are us, we are them. I am me as you as me, and we are all together. See how they run like pigs from the gun. See how they fly. Settlement of each other. I am the walrus. Choo. How do you join the group? drlodi.com, drlodi.com. So my parents are both here's this is Joe on the Facebook. My parents have both been diagnosed with dementia. My mom a few years ago, and now my father, and he's dealing fast. Will fasting help him? He's dealing fast. You mean probably mean declining fast? Yes, but your parents need more than that. You got to look at their dental work. Very important. Senility and your dentition is like right there. The number of teeth you have will determine your senility. Yeah, so that you're left with it, whatever age you're at. So got to get a biological dentist, and then we've got to definitely do some chelation on both of them, heavy metals, and some cleansing. And yes, they can get well. They can get well. Believe me, dementia is just it's like instead of having a symptom from your pancreas, you're having a symptom in your brain. I mean, it's it's another organ system that's toxic. That's it. It's not anything different. Remember, there's not diseases. There's toxicity, it's manifestations, it's the consequences that are occurring in any particular organ. And so, yes, it's very, very possible and logical to restore, eliminate dementia. And then, so after we did some cleansing and all that stuff, and we maxed out their vitamin C requirements. I'm telling you, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, the mixed carotenoids, and the vitamin E, which is the tocotrienols and tocopherols, the melatonin, balance the thyroid. I'm just telling you, if we do all these things, they will get well. They will no longer have dementia. Okay, and then we go on a fast, and I'm telling you, it's not possible to be demented if we can do all this. The thing is being able to do it. That's the hard part, because you'll have the resistance from them, and if they're in a home, or there's a lot of obstacles to getting this done. But if you can just move forward with it, that the result is health. And it doesn't matter who we're talking to today. What I'm telling you is universal. And the reason it's universal is because we're the same species, okay? We're the same species. All right? That means there's lots of things when we say that, right? Fundamentally, the way one of the ways is that species are, within a species, it means that we can only produce offspring by mating with each other, right? So like another species you can't mate with another species, right? So, you know, you know, and if you do, weird things happen like donkeys. But I mean, let's say, like a gorilla couldn't mate with a horse, whatever. So anyway, that's a species. But we're all the same species, meaning we all have the same requirements that are needed for optimal functioning. We all have the same, right? Horses. And I don't care what. And don't look at blood groups or any of that nonsense. There are like seven. What I don't forget how many blood groups in horses, but they have quite a few. I think more than us. And they don't like need to eat different foods because they have different blood groups. One horse is not going to do better on hamburgers and the other one better on spinach. It's not like that. All right, so we're the same species, and therefore we need to have the same requirements. We got to get rid of the junk, go to bed early. I mean, I feel foolish for keep saying these same things over and over. Um, but yeah, dementia can get rid of it. Let's not be any demented. All right, now, Donna, is fasting for 3 days good for women? It's good for women. Yeah, absolutely. Good for men, women, but specifically if you're looking for women, it's good. But you know what the irony of 3 days fasting is those are the hardest days. Day 4 is like, oh, I'm not hungry. So if you've gotten to day 3, you might as well go to day 4 and it'll feel good. And you'll say, okay, as long as you're drinking enough water, you say, I'm going to go to 5 and you'll keep going. Okay. So, but yeah, 3's great, but you did all the hard work. Right. So it's, I always feel bad for someone who quits on day 3 because I know that if they just went one more day, they'd say, "Oh my gosh, I'm okay. I don't need to eat." You know. So, but yeah, absolutely good for women and men, but for women, a pregnant woman can't fast. A nursing mother cannot fast, but I mean, it's not a time to fast. Modify diet, eat less, eat healthy. Yes, yes, yes. But fasting means, a fast is 24 hours. Intermittent fasting has nothing to do with eating 18/6 or 24. No. That's just eating healthy. That's eating 1 or 2 meals away. That's just skipping meals. All right. So keep that in mind. Intermittent fasting would be because the fast is 24 hours without nutrients. Without nutrients, meaning black tea, meaning green tea, meaning lemons. That's nutrients. Okay. All right. Now, how come I'm so tired? Wait a minute. Okay, so here's a question. Let me turn off the air conditioning. All right. Wow. Now, um, is fasting for 16 hours okay with somebody who may have hydrocephalus? I can't respond, specifically to that because there's lots of conditions in which one can that accompany that hydrocephalus. But yes, eating nutrient dense food with long intervals of not eating is good for everyone. Excuse me. My gosh, I'm gonna be so tired. I had a lot of sleep last night. I went to bed at 9 and woke up at 4:30. Why am I tired? Anyway, um, so here's what was this question about? Okay, so this is Jessica. She's saying, please help me. I'm needing to ask, can dry fasting help carpal tunnel syndrome? Well, first of all, dry fasting I would not recommend. And the reason I would not recommend dry fasting is because, which means, fasting on everything, including water. But you need, okay, because our body is 70% water at least. And every chemical reaction for healthy metabolism has to occur in a certain volume of water. And if we dry fast and there's not adequate amounts of water for chemical reactions to happen, then we're not going to get the metabolic benefits. So it doesn't make sense. You want to fast and be well hydrated. And then, yeah, carpal tunnel would be good for it. But carpal tunnel, remember, is usually an overuse kind of thing, right? From overusing it, you wind up getting inflammation in your nerves and tendons, in everything going through your wrist. There's a ligament here that encloses it. It's called the carpal ligament. And so in there, everything's going through. So carpal tunnel syndrome would just mean that everything's kind of swollen and tight, and and that's causing the problems. So fasting, cleansing is definitely going to reduce the inflammation and the swelling and all that. Absolutely, absolutely. And then what you've got to do is you've got to stop doing whatever repetitive or whatever you were doing that caused the that caused it to become inflamed. They're chronically inflamed. You've got to stop doing that. But the fasting and cleansing is really a fantastic way of dealing with it. So yeah, the answer is that. That's the answer. And then wow. How can I be so tired? And I'm hot again. What's with this air conditioner? Now listen, I can't, right? I'm not having hot flashes because I never had high estrogen. So I don't know what's going on. But let me see an Instagram question. Um, after CFC, Thanksgiving. อะไรอะไรพูดอะไรครับอะไรนะเราชื่อหน่อยสิเอาอะไรเอาอะไร That's Almond. He's got a lot to say. He's going to report on the morning. What did you find out there? He likes, I think he understands Thai better than English. ใช่ไหมเข้าใจไหมAlmondเอาอะไรครับคุณเอาอะไรไหมนี่นะอ๋ออยู่โอเคเข้าใจแล้วเข้าใจแล้วไม่ต้องพูดอีกแก All right, here we go. Hey, Dr. Lodi, what is your opinion about synthetic parasite that we all see and have from the why does this keep moving so bad? From the chemtrails? People are suggesting to not use ivermectin and fenfen because those meds are for normal parasites, and they may make synthetic parasites go deep in the organs you produce. Okay, so vanilla. Yeah. Synthetic parasites. I think there's um, what we're seeing worldwide, thanks to people like Bill Gates. Oh, he's such a nice guy. I mean, he's such a philanthropist. He cares about us, spending all of his time and money just to help us. Oh, anyway, they're making things that are it's called synthetic biology, where they're actually merging biological processes and systems with uh non-biological, so it's synthetic biology. It's Frankenstein. So And I think we first started to see what you're talking about with Morgellons. I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with Morgellons, but look it up. Look at the images on once you look it up, and that they come out of the skin and they look like threads, like a green thread and a red thread, and it's just what? And there's a sensation of crawling under the skin. It's really an incredible, weird thing. And now I've got people worldwide showing me and telling me about just, you know, basically, what I'm hearing from everybody is a sensation of crawling and movement, and it's making people go crazy because I can imagine. I mean, if I felt things crawling and then I would probably be crazy for sure. Um, and of course, they're coming out. I mean, I'm coming out of the nose, mouth, vagina, scars, nipples, belly button. I mean, yeah. Um, we live in a Frankensteinian Rockefeller, Rockestein, uh, Rockefellerstein. It's a Rockefellerstein, Rockefellerstein, Rockefellerist, Rockefellerstein. Hey, Rockefeller and Frankenstein got together, had a baby, and it's called Bill Gates. Yeah. Uh, and there he is. Cute little guy, right? Cute little guy. You just want to like pinch him, don't you? You want to pinch him really hard and not stop. Yeah. Uh, so cute. Um, so uh, so I don't know what to say honestly about these synthetic or synthetic biology that's happening. So the statement you made is by taking ivermectin and mebendazole and bendazole that's going to somehow make them, the synthetic ones, go deeper. I don't see. I've never seen any evidence to that. I don't really. I mean, I don't see how that would happen. There's no real obvious mechanism by which that would happen. So I would not. I mean, unless someone has shown you how that is real. I mean, do you have any? Has anyone given you any evidence? I'd like to know because. Um, uh, but anyway, I don't think so. And you'd want to still be using those anyway for the non-synthetic ones because those guys are, yeah, a real big problem. All right, so you do need to take care of them. Um, And the thing about what we're calling synthetic or synthetic biology is we'll never know how to deal with it until we understand it. So we've got to collect them. If you've got anything coming out of you in any way, collect it and find out a way to put it in a solution where it's not going to degrade or anything. So it's usually a saline solution, but yeah, and then you got to get it to a laboratory or someone who knows what they're doing as soon as possible, as a microscope, because we've got to know what we're dealing with. Because to answer any of our questions, we have to know what we're dealing with, right? Where are we starting with? What are we talking about? And if we don't know, we can't. We're going to only guess, right? Does that make sense, everybody? All right. So let's please remember that makes sense. So we've got to know what we're dealing with. So if you got something coming out of you, wherever it's coming out of, we collect it and get it into like a saline solution and quit and get it off to a laboratory. So look in advance, look online, find out where there's different laboratories. For you can look up parasites, you can look up uh, you know, the problem is where to take it, and then that's the problem. So a lot of medical schools will have departments of parasitology. But so if you could, because hopefully what we're dealing with is in a medical school is that people that are learning and curious and they're willing to explore, right? Rather than, where you think maybe if you went to a professional laboratory, they no longer have time for that. They're going to do specifically these things, whatever. But I don't know the answer. So I don't know on my camera does. We might find that uh uh, I just you got to look for a lab that's willing to study it. Or how about it? Look at a university. Maybe you go to the university and the science department, right? And so like the biology department or the mycology, which is the study of funguses, um, or the parasitology. There'll be departments with different kinds of biological sciences at a university, and they're more likely to be interested and willing to do something to evaluate it as a learning process. So that's always the problem. But we've got to collect these things and find out what they are, get them identified, so we know what we're dealing with. Because right now we're just guessing, and you get nowhere with guessing. Okay, uh, so find a place, either university biology department, well, or a laboratory. Look for laboratories that are not connected to hospitals that do, investigate uh, investigate parasites, investigate insects, or any kind of place that is investigating, that does that, that's good at it. Uh, but I don't know what to say, because Morgellons blew my mind. Morgellon, I don't know if you guys have ever seen one, and I've had people come. I've worked with people, patients, with it, and it's crazy. So yeah. Anyway, let's do another one. But my answer to that was, I do not think that by taking ivermectin and fenbendazole that you're going to drive them in deeper. I don't think so. If that's, I could be wrong because I don't know. I've not seen that, but I see no mechanism by which that'll happen. So please, if you have any answers to that, let me know. Okay, but at this point, I would still continue to do it because we still want to deal with the ones that are definitely uh, but alive and respond to that. All right, so where we go here? Beautiful. Look at that. I like this here. This is Janelle. And she said, my dad is 89 and he enjoys fasting very much. He just finished the 5-day fast, broke it with chicken noodle soup. Okay, what am I gonna say? He's 89. He's already doing better than a lot of people, right? So what can I say? But that's not what I would break it with. And if you do a prolonged fast, you can't break it with that. You got so. But I go into that in the book. So look for this book coming out as soon as I can figure out how to publish it. So anybody who knows or can help me with that, could you contact us somehow? Best way is hello@drlodi.com. 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 In fact, if you have any inquiries about anything, where to get parasite medicine, where to whatever, contact there. All right. But anyway, if you have any ideas on how we can self-publish and get this out there as soon as possible, because I want to get it out as soon as possible. I think it's going to be very useful. Uh, it's going to help you go. You'll see. It'll guide you. Okay. Anyway, so all right. Where are we now? Your dad's 89. Great. Chicken noodles. Uh, Oh, here's one by Lynn. I thought spinach is bad for you. You see, there's why. Okay, you guys, I want to do part 4 of the human diet series. All right, I've done I've done 3 parts already. Part 4 is busting these absurd myths. Spinach is not bad for you. Ask Popeye. But anyway, it's not bad for you. Kale is not bad for you. Kale is still a superfood, David. Okay, there is none of this. That's not true. Soy is good. Okay, what I want to do is bust all that, and I've got all the data, the information. I want to go through that. But no, spinach is very good, and this whole idea about oxalates causing oxalate stones is just not the way it is. And oxalosis, it's not what's happening. And I'll happily debate any. All right. But I will show you the evidence and explain it to you. I want to get rid of all of these myths. Okay, all of these myths. So kale is still a superfood. Oh, we will be a superfood unless we genetically modify it and there's no longer any of the original stuff left. All right. So anyway. Mary, yo, thank you. You're very welcome. How do we join the group? drlodi.com. Go to drlodi.com, drlodi.com. Okay, Instagram. Got a question here? Last question. Somebody says here that Ted Lopez and 10 others sent a request to be in your live video. What does that mean? You would be on here, you'd be a second screen and we'd be talking, or what? I don't even know what that means. I don't know how you join my live video. I can't find any questions on Instagram. How do you, okay, here's a question by you are my wow. It's how to support body after tubal ligation. Which doctors had answered my questions impact 20 plus years following an explosion. All right, so tubal ligation, right? When they go in and they ligate, basically cut the fallopian tubes. The fallopian tubes are the tubes that carry eggs from the ovary into the uterus, right? And usually it's in the fallopian tube where the sperm unites with the egg, and so usually the pregnancy, the conception usually happens in the fallopian tube, and then continues traveling down, and then finds a spot in the uterus to implant. And so the idea is that if they ligate, cut the I don't know. Cut the tubes, and they can prevent the pregnancies. So that was the whole idea. And so any kind, so this okay. So you think about a ligation, a tubal ligation. It's a surgery. A surgery is trauma. A trauma is going to establish inflammation. It's an acute inflammation, which is an important response to trauma. Is inflammation to resolve it, to restore the integrity, the balance. Okay, so that's what happens. All right, so that's what tubal ligation is, and so what would you do? So during that time, you do the same thing you always do, and that is clean up, get rid of all the garbage, and do your colonics, and do your cleansing and your fasting and all that sort of thing. And then you're going to eat foods which are going to minimize your inflammation in your body, which is going to be uncooked foods, because anything that's cooked is inflammatory. But and that's what you do. You're going to live healthy. So there's really nothing different that you're going to do after a surgery, except that you would do to stay healthy otherwise. However, it's after the surgery, depending on what kind of surgery you had. So a tubal ligation is not like it's not a long period of time under anesthesia and all that. So it's not as difficult to or as much of a challenge as a longer surgery where you had anesthesia for a longer time and more trauma to the body. But so you could pretty much do a really good juice cleanse before and after preparing and after and colon hydrotherapy, and just be as healthy as possible. And make sure you've got your vitamin C. You're taking 2 grams of liposomal sodium ascorbate. Liposomal sodium ascorbate, 2 grams 4 times a day. Vitamin D, like with K2, like 40,000 units a day. Vitamin E with a mixed tocopherols and tocopherols, 40, 50 million a day. 50,000 a day. Same with the mixed carotenoids, the vitamin A's, 40,000. When you do all that, you look for your vitamin D levels to be around 120 or so. So you want to maximize all that. You want to get your thyroid and iodine worked out, your adrenals, and that's what we do. When you join the groups, we work on reestablishing balance in our body. Because if we're not well, it's because we're out of balance. All right. When we're balanced, we're well. All right. So that is our goal. How do we restore balance? And anyway, this is what we'll talk about. So if you join the group, we'll actually, I can answer just a question directly, but also on the available to you as part of the uh what's it called? When you join the groups, you have access to lots of information that's available to you, as well as on the Telegram groups and in the Zoom meetings. We're all exchanging information, so it's really pretty fantastic. But it's something we need to do. You sound like Bad Bunny reading questions. Bad Bunny. What's Bad Bunny? Am I a bad bunny? I guess I'm a bad bunny. I used to be a good bunny, but something happened to me. I don't remember what it was, but I became a bad bunny. Actually, it's been more fun being a bad bunny than a good bunny. But I am a bunny because I was born in the year of the rabbit, so you're right on there, huh? Uh-huh. Anybody else born in the year of the rabbit? Okay. Here's the last question. This is by where are you going? Chris. I have been on carnivore diet for 3 years now. I'm not sure if you believe in this diet, or do you feel people may avoid listening to what you have to say about our diets? I have been following Ken Berry and other doctors, just wondering if you are approaching this from a different perspective, as I know newbies may change the channel and miss your message. All right, so carnivore diet, if you've been on what I think what they're calling a carnivore diet is just 100% animal, right? You're not eating any plants. That's what I think is meant by a carnivore diet, right? Because there's this one doctor I see, that's what he says. He said he hasn't had a plant in 5 or 6 years. And if you're eating that way, you've got to eat nose to tail. You got to eat the whole thing. You got it's like the carnivores. I mean, a lion doesn't cook it, and a lion doesn't just eat muscle. The lion eats the kidneys, the ovaries, the testes, the guts, the spleen, the heart, the brain, the eyeballs. They eat it all because that's you need it all. That's what they need. They got to get it all, and they still augment it. Lions still chew grass, yeah, but if you're going to be a carnivore, be a carnivore, right? Carnivore is not picking out just the muscle and then barbecuing. That's a selective corpse eater. So the scavengers, like the dogs and the hyenas and raccoons, rats, they can eat anything. They can eat both animals and plants, and they can survive on either. But the obligate carnivores are the cats, lions, tigers, and the house cat, cougars, and all that. Obligate carnivores, they have to eat animals, and they have to eat them alive, not corpses. They need live animals, right? So if you're a real carnivore diet would be eating live animals. So you just grab a chicken, rip its head off, and eat it. That would be a carnivore. Now, if you're not going to eat the animal alive, then you're going to be a corpse eater, a cadaver eater. And if this is not true, then help me understand what the words mean, because we'd have to get into the definition of words. Okay, so carnivores eat animals alive. That's what they do. Scavengers will eat the remains. They'll eat the corpse, like a dog will eat the corpse. But a dog can kill if it needs to. So you're a corpse eater. So you like to eat corpses, and I'm sure that's all you eat. You don't eat any plants, just corpse. And if you eat corpse, I'm just saying, if you're going to eat the corpse, you got to eat the whole thing. You can't just eat the muscle because you're not going to get all the nutrients. And even if you eat nose to tail, the whole thing, you're still going to be missing out on really important phytonutrients and stuff. Which is why when the lion kills the animal, the first thing it goes for is the gut and it gets the undigested plants that they've eaten and or the results of the digestion. So you gotta have that stuff. So and remember, all energy and light, everything that begins, the whole process begins when light hits the plant. And you got photosynthesis, and that's the beginning of the whole food chain. That's where it began. So anyway, we should talk about, and you join the group so we can talk about what do you mean by carnivore diet? Do you mean that includes some cooked corpse, or are you eating just live animals? Because I gotta clarify it. So let's do that. Like I would love. I'm not at all being facetious. I don't know how else to say this. It sounds weird when you say it, but that's just the way it is. So let's talk about what we mean by it. Yeah. So join the group. Hello, Dr. Lodi. I know. Just go drlodi.com, drlodi.com. Go there, join the groups, and let's have these wonderful discussions. So, but what I have to ask you questions about it. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. It's 9 o'clock here, a little after 9, and you know, namaste, namaskar, aloha. Have a fantastic week, and watch out. Remember, Rockefeller and Frankenstein got together, and they have a son, and he's alive and well on planet Earth, and we all know what his name is. No. Okay. So what do you got?